I'm the president of the Flint Fire Department. I am in the Lakeville District. I have a letter here. I'm not very good at speaking, so I wrote a letter. We are having problems at our fire department. Our EMS license has been suspended, which most everybody knows. But I did write a letter, and this is what I wrote. It said, if you place 1404 in the station at Flint Hill under the county supervision, Flint Hill having nothing to do with the EMS side other than helping when we're available. Maybe consider taking the 40% that Chester Gap is receiving and apply to hire drivers for Medic 1404. Then you would be covering the areas with a medic unit. That unit could cover Chester Gap, Flint Hill, and other areas because the station is located within 12 miles to Chester Gap and 5 miles to 211. The station is a good location to respond to these places. We are willing to share our space with the paid staff and learn from them, yet we are not managing anything for EMS. This would be a win-win for the county and the citizens. They would have an ambulance again, and the money for cost recovery would help the county offset the cost because it would be coming back into the county's revenue. EMTs are paid at a rate of $16 per hour. Medics are paid at a rate of $19 per hour. So $35 per hour times 24 hours times 365 equals $306,600 per year. Divided by 40% equals $122,640. That's an incredible amount of money, and I'm sure you could hire drivers for that amount of money. The cost recovery money would be them coming back to the Rappahannock County and not one company. Chester Gap is running 60+% of their calls in Warren County, which Warren is paying for. Plus, they are getting funding from both counties for operating expenses that should cover the 40% that you could take. Our request is that we be allowed to operate our fire side of the department, and the county can come into our station and manage the EMS side of things. Our volunteers would still be available when possible to help the driving duties of 1404. We are not the only county company that is struggling. The accident on 211 on Friday, there was not a driver available for Medic 1, so that patient had to wait for someone to respond from their home in Spearville to the scene to drive. Luckily, that patient was not critically hurt. Have we made mistakes? Yes, and we are trying to correct everything. Yes, and I don't believe cutting our funding on the fire side is the right thing to do. The month of December, we ran 90% of the calls we were dispatched on. We are trying, and I can assure you, we are not trying to take anything away from Chester Gap, and we are thankful that they are there and have done a good job with everything. But we feel that the citizens of Flint Hill and that end of the county deserve better coverage than 40%. That being said, with Chester Gap running 60% of their calls in Warren County, some months more, and they are always available to their community of Chester Gap and Huntley. We are asking that you please consider our request to continue our funding for the fire side of the department. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Paige Liddy from Jackson District. As most of you know, I've been on the fire levy board since 2015, and I was on the committee that did the fire service agreement. So I thought it would be good if I provided you some history. There's enough copies for all of you. Right? Regarding this issue that come before, right? First of all, in the executed version 9B dated 19 July, there's virtually nothing in there to deal with a non-performing company. Though it doesn't specifically say you can withhold funding, there's nothing that says you can't withhold funding, all right? But let me go back to the revision history, right? Because when I first got on that committee, company's 4 performance was already, 2015, was already questionable, all right? And so I started off with the very first draft of a paragraph that you will see on the back of the page that started off in that one went through here. You probably want to see that one went through versions 1 and 2. It was general. Interesting enough, when we got to version 3, the companies / associations stepped forward and wrote this long process about what to do about non-performing companies, all right? That version survived, that paragraph, without minor changes, survived all the way through the county attorney's review, which was primarily revision 7. What happened after that, I don't know where that paragraph went to, because after revision 7, I no longer had configuration control of the document. So I don't know why this was taken out. I'm pretty sure that the companies / association had control of the document at that point, all right? But my point is this. Whether this is exactly what to do or not, this is a very good starting point for how to address a non-performing company that at some point in the history, the companies had talked about and were pretty much on board with the process. It's not a short process, but it could be done, all right? And so, and it seems very fair. But note at the end, when all else fails, it does say you can pull their funding. All right? So anyway. Somehow I knew you'd want one.
Do that, or you email it to me, or you could do that too. I said, or you could email it to me.
No.
And resident, full-time resident in Huntley, and about 5 miles from Station 4. And I was at some of the, one of the public safety hearings. And one thing that is most on my mind and my wife's mind is in our, living up here in our 70s, we're at risk of not having it in need if we weren't able to have prompt response. So we feel a certain amount of urgency in this issue before the board, and just wanted to stress that living in this area is wonderful, but if something should happen in the older age, it is very important, and it's important to us that the closest station to us, which is most likely to reach us most quickly, be up to speed and be able to provide qualified help.
Could you repeat your last name, please?
Lyon, Lyon. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Wade Robinson. Some of you know, I don't live in Rappahannock, however, I've got a long-standing relationship with Rappahannock. I'm only here because of an issue with this particular company and dealing with one of my best friends. I'm not going to be animated, so I was at the Public Safety Committee meeting. I heard some things that night that really set me off. But the one thing that I keep mulling over in my head is I hear a lot of we're trying, and I believe it's been about 7 years. I haven't heard anything definitive of what they're trying and how it's going to be accomplished. And so, if you don't have that, you don't have a matrix of what you're doing, what you need to get back into the program for, then why do you continue to try? I mean, it's, again, beating your head against the wall, the definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing again and again and again. If it's not working, then you got to try something different. And just as the previous gentleman said, you know, there's a population out here that needs EMS. I was an EMT for a long time up in Maine when I was in school. And we dealt with a lot of elderly people. And if you don't have that, ability to put it out there, you're gonna lose people. And people that could be saved. And so, yes, you want to treat volunteers in the fire station well. You want to help and support them, and God bless them. It's, you know, I don't run into burning buildings. You know, I get that aspect of it. But at the same time, if you don't have a program set in place, then nobody's running into burning buildings. Nobody's saving the elderly. So just, I ask that you all just, there's a whole host of ideas I have in my head that I could certainly help with, and people may not like it, but I think it would work, but I'm not gonna go into that tonight. I'd like to be able to see the county actually take control of something, something that doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work. 7 years. They've been trying. It's not working. People are gonna die. Quite frankly, my belief is somebody already has. And so what does it cost for a life? What, is an ego a cost for life? Or do you guys want to actually accomplish something? So I just ask that you accomplish something. There are numerous ways to fix this. I certainly have my ideas. Perhaps the county attorney does. And I'd certainly like to look at that if he does. Please just fix it. Fix it. Thank you.
Forgot to say he played basketball in school.
Anyway, okay, Shields Messenger, Hampton District, I wasn't really gonna say anything, and then I heard this thing coming up. And actually, the last gentleman had some fairly good points. If there are concerns with a specific organization, and as what he was saying is that he's heard people saying for 7 years, we're trying. If you're just trying, has anybody helped and actually put forth goals? In other words, what are you trying to accomplish? And put the steps there so you have some way of knowing how to go forward and then how to have some way of accomplishing things. I went to a seminar one time and they said to have these sticky notes with, this, that, and the other thing, but they also said, when you've done something, have the opportunity to be able to check that off and say, I did it, to give some kind of success and going forward. So if there's a problem with a specific organization, I say, how can we actually help to actually put something in place that's organized to get them to kind of like track if that's not what's happening. The other thing is, it's like circling the drain. We have older people here, we're trying to attract younger people, we're trying to be able to get this county, I don't want to say grow because people go nuts, but I want to say replacing that which we have lost. And there's a way to do it. And I'm sure we can do it. And I would prefer to see people going forward in a positive way. The other thing, we have the public comment here before people really had a chance to find out what's going on. If there were a chance for a public comment section B after some of these topics have been discussed, you might be able to get a better conversation going about concerns and everything. Because I think some people are just sort of working blind. The other little thing I want to talk about quickly is that I've also heard sometimes people talking about totally different subject. People leaving wineries and going in the wrong direction. So I did a study, and coming out of Gray Ghost, when you go out, of course it's a divided highway, and you have to go to the right to be able to go make a U-turn to go to the other direction. If you were to turn left at Gray Ghost, there's a sign that says "Do not enter." At Narromada Winery, there's nothing like that. So if people are coming out of that specific winery and they take a left, there's nothing to indicate to them that they're going the wrong way. And a lot of people coming to our wineries are visitors. They have not a clue what these roads are like, especially after the dark. So there may be something that VDOT can address, but I did do my homework on that, so maybe that's something that will help people driving in the wrong direction. Thanks.
Anyone else in the courtroom?
I'm Fran Krebser from Wakefield.
Sorry, John. Yeah, double mix on it.
Yeah. I've been supporting Flint Hill ever since I've been here, and my husband did before me. Deborah Milosevic spoke the last meeting about the trail rides that we had, and we had some really great trail rides. Raised a lot of money for the fire company. I'm ashamed to say that I don't really know any of the people involved in the fire company. I looked at the website today, and I couldn't tell you if they have a board of directors. I saw a president, a vice president, some other people, but there weren't pictures of them, so that when I see them on the street and settle in and talk to them about what's going on. And frankly, I didn't know that this had been going on for 7 years, because I've been dealing with my parents and another family member's death over all that time. So, I hate to say that I've been so out of touch in my own district. And I promise you that will change. But I would like to see Flint Hill survive. It is very important for us to have a thriving fire company in our district. However, a thriving fire company is not one that we've had for the last 7 years. And I'm very disturbed to see some of the things that I read in the letter that they attached to their response that even came about and needed attention. I would certainly hope that they as a group would be willing to come together with whatever the county and the association, the rescue association, fire and rescue association decides, no matter what it is, and work together, because they agree we have made mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's pure in this world. But it's gone on so long, and I think it needs to be a solid, continuous effort between the company and the county, whoever you decide to govern them and help them through this. It'll make a world of difference for them in the future, and for Wakefield, and for the county as a whole. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Mona Side. I live in the Wakefield district, and I am a member of Flint Hill. I've only been a member for about, I guess, a year and a half, 2 years at most. I know that we've come several times saying we're trying. It seems like we're being, I'm not gonna say penalized, but we're being looked at from 2014 to 2019, I believe, is where the problems have occurred. And I wasn't there at the time. It was under different management at the time. We've had a hard time keeping people, for instance, treasurers come and go. But I will say now, we do have bookkeeping people from the outside, working our books now. We are trying to put something in place, and that was the proposal that Karen made tonight, that, we hand over the EMS side to the county completely. We have no desire to govern that anymore. We had several meetings. We had one on Saturday with Beth, and everybody was there, and we're all in agreement now that we need a running rescue squad in that building. If that means just releasing everything to the county, to benefit the citizens, and that's what we need to do. We're willing to just open our building, let the county bring in whoever they want, let them run the whole EMS side of things, but we'd still like to be able to run the fire calls. Like Karen stated, we've ran, I think it was 80 or 90% of the calls this month that we were dispatching. There again, I'd like to say, the people in our company are volunteers. They have normal jobs, just like everybody else, and we're not the only company suffering. And it's our company right now, but 6 months down the road, it could be somebody else. It could be another company that's suffering. Just like she mentioned the accident on 211 with the deputy the other day. Company one didn't have anybody other than Ann. And Ann was told to respond by herself, but she needed a driver. So she had to wait for somebody in her company to be dispatched all the way from Sperryville to drive that ambulance. I mean, just luckily, you know, the gentleman wasn't hurt that bad. And I want to apologize to the gentleman who lost his friend. If we had an ambulance there that day, would we have been able to save him? Who knows? You know, I'm not saying yes or no. Was it a bad situation? Absolutely. And I'm sorry he lost his friend. But I don't feel that we can be penalized for that because we don't know what would have happened. Would it have helped? Maybe. I don't know. But, like I said, we are trying. We don't know what else to do. You can't make people come and join. And I hate to say it, there's no incentive for young people anymore to come and join. So, I mean, we have begged for help from the county. But the safety committee kind of slammed us because they said we waited until the 12th hour. And I understand that. But it should not matter if you wait till the 12th hour or not. If the county is willing to step in and help, it should not have mattered. Whether it had been 8 months ago or now. I mean, we came and we asked at the last public safety meeting, and we were slammed by that safety committee. And they kept talking about direction of the department. Well, I can assure you, these people were not in direction or not in charge of the department when all this stuff went bad. So we're a new group of people, and all we can do is offer and try to help. So, I mean, I ask that you don't cut our funding. If you do, we have to live with it. But I can't see where cutting the funding, even if it's just, if it's the EMS out of time, because like I said, we need trained people in there. We need somebody that's gonna run out of there. But I can't see where it's gonna benefit the community if you cut the funding totally. It's gonna cost the county money because the county's gonna have to come in and put somebody in there, and they're gonna have to pay for somebody to be there to run the place. Like I said, are we perfect? No, but we're trying. We're trying. That's all I can say. And I know people are getting tired of hearing that, but there again, it's not the same organization as it was in 2014 to 2019. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna try to cover this because first off, my name is Paul, and I'm here, I live in the Wakefield district, and, I've got a gravelly voice because it's so disheartening hearing this. I have lived in this county since 2015, I wanna say, and I can remember walking in and reading the paper about the struggling volunteer organizations then, okay? And quite honestly, it was a hard pill to swallow for me when I talked to my wife about even going and volunteering at the fire department, because being a member of a different department, where I work at, she knows the time commitment, and it is a huge time commitment. And, the thing that I repetitiously have heard from members, like I said, I've got kind of this anger feeling because it's cutthroat. I don't understand why it is that it's like, well, pull funding from here. That's all you've heard from the members. It's like funding. why haven't we talked about the performance? You have had numerous chiefs and numerous officers of this department that have sought out no training. The training's there. I mean, it's available. As a taxpayer of this county, I know what it takes to train a person, and I know the time and the money that it takes, and it's a lot. It is a lot. And I don't ever want to speak against a volunteer organization, but look at the list of deficiencies. I mean, if you were in the county that I work in, they would have been cut a long time ago. Funding would have been cut a long time ago. They would have sent in the county lawyer, the county executive, and a whole bunch of other people to find out why it is that there's so much unaccounted for money. My wife travels the roads of Rappahannock County and goes through Flint Hill where there's boot drives, and it's like, why do they need more money? Aren't you 100% funded by the county operationally? Yeah. I don't know what they do with the money. You walk into Rural King. Ethically, the chief and the president should have put a stop to that a long time ago. They got members sitting out in front of a store in a different county soliciting for money. Again, it's all about the funding for these guys. But nobody has talked about the performance. You can rest assured, and the calls will be answered in your.
Excuse me, point of order, please, may we address our comments to the board?
I apologize. You can rest assured that the citizens will be served, whether it's ALS 1400, or Chester Gap, or Washington, or Front Royal. The calls are going to get answered. Unfortunately, not as quickly as you want. I was here at the Public Safety Committee, and I heard, what is the plan? And there was no plan of any kind of continuing education or reaching out for guidance for the leadership of this organization. It was all about, well, take over our EMS, but let us have funding to run the fire department. It's, again, we need as taxpayers, I would like to know how much money is it going to take before they say enough is enough. It just seems like it's all about funding, and it is sad to speak against a fellow department. But I don't know where the structure had failed from the past until now, where the breakdown in leadership has gone. I wasn't part of the organization, but again, I came into this county several years ago, and there was problems then. And it's just continuous. And I've been, as a member of another organization, I was helping with training, and I've talked to the chief of our organization about the guidance and the support that has been given to them by the other departments. There was support given then, and then they had problems again at the next inspection. It is again, repetitious problems, the same problems over and over and over again. Where does the vicious cycle end? As the taxpayer, I really urge the board to consider removing the funding, because it's a lot of money that's unaccounted for performance, as in training, education, and things like that. If the leadership's not there, then what are we paying for? That's all I have. Like I said, I apologize for the shakiness, but it's disheartening. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Mike Williams, Chief at Flint Volunteer Fire and Rescue. I became chief in 2020 when all the COVID hit. With the issues from 2020 to prior, Yes, it was some complaints. I got a article from our bylaws, which we follow for disciplinary actions against members, which everybody has their bylaws. When those issues came up, I did address them right then and there. All the complaints. I talked to Sean Poster numerous times, but I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker, but with the answering the calls in, let's say, Wakefield District in Hotley, I don't know, Chester Gap Mountain. Back in November, help me out here.
Back in November, my husband got sick. We requested a rescue squad. Chester Gap was in Front Royal. We got Washington. I know that's not here, it's not to the point where, we're not thankful for any of the rescue squads, but we got little Washington to get into the hospital. We have had problems in our fire department. They have been addressed. They've been taken care of. We are moving forward. We are working on a plan to get us going. We have had several meetings with our members. We have a meeting next Wednesday. We are going to do our best to get our plans together. We will present them to you if you would like. I know that he said we have no training. We have 3 firefighters. We have one EMT. We have 2 that are they have finished their class. They are in their train. They're going to get their hours. We have another one here. We have Beth. She is hopefully in the process of getting her hours. We are trying to fix it, and we are going to fix it. I mean, we keep saying we're trying, but we are going to fix this. I just think it's sad that it's come to this point, and we hope that you will support us, and if, please, if we could meet with you, if you could sit down with us, and, we would love to work it out. So.
I guess my point is, if I can finish. My house catches on fire. I live at the bottom of Chester Gap Mountain. And granted, the one company we live in is in another first area, which is Chester Gap. Like everybody knows, they run majority of their calls in Warren County. What if the call goes out Warren County? My house catches on fire. The next quickest fire department is going to be Little Washington or England. By the time they get there to my house will be burnt down. And at least, we do have members, we do have firefighters, and we have a lot of pump operators and drivers. And, the majority of the time, I meet them on the scene. I meet my engine on the scene. They carry my gear, I meet them on the scene. I have ran plenty of calls with numerous of other companies. With the no training and everything else, I mean, it's unbelievable with them saying that. I'm willing to provide my certifications of what I have. And I had no other complaints from any other company. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Anyone else public comment?
In the
In the room. About to go to the Zoom.
district, I guess you could say I really don't have a dog in this fight, so to speak. But we've heard a lot of people speak here tonight. A lot of people have admitted they've made a lot of mistakes, and we all are human. There's not a man or woman that's walked on this earth that has not made errors. So, looks like to me, instead of keep on having people up here parading up here and telling over and over about their mistakes, I ask you, as the board, what are y'all willing to do to help this company get back on its feet? It's definite they need the fire department and need a rescue squad over there. And what can the board do? Sounds like these people are willing to try again, but yes, I agree. They need leadership. Where is that leadership coming from? I look here, this board, trying to give this company the proper leadership to get them out of this hole that they're in. I don't think it's useless to keep on beating a dead horse. And it's useless to keep on having these people parade in and tell about their mistakes. It's all over the place. They've made mistakes. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. None of us are perfect. Now, I'll ask you, are you willing to give them the guidance and pay for the guidance if that's what's needed and direction to get this important group, needed group, back into service? Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. All right, I'm gonna go to Zoom world. Anyone on Zoom wishing to speak, please raise your Zoom hand and Mr. Curry will unmute you.
Ms. Atkins has her hand raised. If you just remuted yourself. Try again.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, this is Stephanie Atkins from the Piedmont District, and I've been listening to everyone go back and forth on the conversations, and it's really good that I'm the last person in on this conversation, because a lot of what I was hearing was we need leadership and we need guidance, and I think there are several of us in the community who are providers who can bring a lot to Flint Hill and get them up and going where they need to go. What we need is help from the Board of Supervisors with what the goals for company 4 are, so that they can be met, but also we can give them the leadership that they need from the Virginia Association of Volunteer Rescue Squads, from the Office of EMS, from the REMS Council, from the Rappahannock Association. We have this built in, we just need to all come together. And it sounds like President Williams said they were meeting next Wednesday, and if I had some support from members of the Board of Supervisors, I would like to extend an invitation to come out to Flint Hill and sit down with Chief Williams and President Williams and get a plan and get it going and in action so that we can get Company 4 back to where it needs to be. It's a great company. It would be a tremendous loss to the community of Flint Hill to have that station closed. All the companies are having issues. Some are not as wide or broadly known as others, but we are all here tonight going, what can we do to help? So I'm extending my knowledge, my association with Virginia Volunteer Rescue Squads, with REMS Council, with the Office of EMS to say, we have people who can come in and who can get them back on track. We just need to know what track the Board of Supervisors needs Company 4 to be on to be sustainable.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Anyone else on the Zoom world that would like to speak?
I don't see any other hands.
Hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. And
The, yes, the report is,
going into old business, public safety committee, company board update.
do you want me to mention what happened at public safety committee? Do you want to do that?
I'll let you, it's pretty much in the paper.
So at the last meeting of the board of supervisors, the board asked, referred to the public safety committee to review and consider the capability, performance of Company 4. Public safety committee met on December 14th and 28th, as well as 4 members met with Company 4 representatives on December 22nd. To listen to them. On the 28th, after digesting the various pieces of information, the Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to A, pursue a forensic audit of the Company 4 financial records, as recommended by a state police investigator, who is actively working on cases related to company, as well as to cease funding to Company 4. That was a recommendation from the Public Safety Committee. There's a lot of dialogue at the Public Safety Committee meetings, both on the 14th, a lot of input from the public, as well as on the 28th. And there was open dialogue with the company on the 22nd, and certainly a big turn of position from the company between the 14th and the 28th and today. So that's the information from the Public Safety Committee. A few of us are on that committee and could provide any input other than that.
Open it up to the board for discussion.
I will say, I did have a conversation with our auditing company and asked them about forensic audit and whether they're capable of doing it. And if so, how that would be normally set up. And they said, because they're very hard to predict ahead of time, it's usually an hourly sort of thing. And they really couldn't provide an estimate of total cost it would take. It might be $10,000 or $20,000, more or less, depending on what's available and what paths they follow. And if the board was interested, they could be available to do such a thing late February. They're stacked up until then.
Mr. Curry, Kier Woodson, I know Company 1 uses the same auditing firm that we do for our audit financial statement preparation.
The county hires the auditing company for the fire rescue companies as well as the association, and they're each audited every other year, except for Company 4 has been audited every year because of their material weaknesses in each year.
That was my question. I just want to make sure that, you're talking about a forensic audit, but I just want to make sure from a baseline perspective that they have as up to date as possible audited financial statements. Is that the case?
The current cycle is a little delayed and the auditors are working on it right now. The 4 most recent years available, the auditors have identified material weaknesses, which essentially mean that they can't, basically they're saying they can't confirm that the balances, et cetera, that they're reporting are accurate because there are deficiencies in place that preclude them from making that determination. And only through a more vigorous audit would you then be able to better understand and have confidence in the numbers, which might be accurate, but you can't have
So, is it safe for me to conclude then that the current audited financial statements for company 4 are provisional at best? I mean, are they caveated to such an extent that they're unreliable?
The auditors are professional services firm, and they insert their industry standard language relative to material weaknesses, stating that they can't guarantee that they're accurate. I don't know that you'll get them to say anything else short of performing a more vigorous forensic audit.
Okay, thank you.
Same language for any of the other departments?
Flint is the only company since I've been here who have had a material weakness, and it's 4 years running. I don't know what the most recent, year, because they're not finalized.
But if what Williams just told us is true and correct, and I don't doubt that it's not correct, I'm just saying that if it is correct, that you're saying 4 years they've been in business too, as far as running the operation, and they inherited a mess and they're trying to fix it.
Like I said, I don't have the audit for the finished year, which is 2021. Calendar year.
So if we're actually working before that, then none of that's their responsibility.
I think you could, consider the membership of company 4 over time, and certainly.
The membership over time, but.
Before Chief Williams was Chief Williams was Chief, Chief Bruce, then Chief Mike. So, there have been other people involved, different presidents, that have been in and out, different members in and out.
At the same time period, the county itself, the paid staff, we made some mistakes. I'm not even gonna mention us buying our army trucks. So, I mean, as Mr. Atkins said, we all make mistakes, so we're gonna have to, and I think we're willing to do it, the board's gonna have to roll up the sleeves and work with company 4 and try to find an answer to the situation. Just pointing fingers back and forth doesn't look good. I agree with that.
So this recommendation, excuse me, by the state police to do a forensic audit, would we take that recommendation lightly, or would we take that recommendation as, if we do a forensic audit, and you folks have been in it for, you've been in it for 2 years, it will expose what it exposes. And, you know, I agree with Mr. Frazier, that, working together to get something done is what we need to do. When the state police says you should do a forensic audit, I don't take that lightly, as responsible being a board of supervisor. So in what context, if you could, for my, personal edification, did they recommend this audit?
So I can say the investigator is still in the middle of investigating. But we're going to put it in writing in the middle of December, some thoughts, which are provided attached to the public safety committee meeting authority. And so I can read it if you want, or you can refer to it at another time, tell me what you want to do.
I guess I suppose my question, and I could be wrong here, is that in order to move forward on the right footing, I feel like we need to do it. There have been things that have not gone correctly. And if an audit shows up and it says, hey, we can't say that this number back of this audit is right, it's our responsibility to say, yep, well, we gotta figure out why. I'm a business owner, I do the same thing. When our accountant comes in and says, hey, where did that come from? I mean, we gotta find it. To me, that's what this does. It's not so much pointing fingers, though it might. But sometimes the hard work has to be done to move forward. And that's why I was asking about the context. When the state police says, hey, you should do this, I take that sort of seriously.
But they did say they may have additional findings in March, and that may yield information as well.
Right. His concluding paragraph was that, for any further complaints or concerns, it is my hope that some form of county oversight is ordered for this department. I've spoken with many of the members, both past and present, and if only half of what they say is true, then corrective actions need to take place. Their service and responsibility to the community is too important to be left to operate this way. Again, it's not my place to offer an opinion unless it's based on investigative findings. I will continue to investigate for the next few months. I'll report all of my findings when I'm done. I felt that sharing that initial, if not subjective impression, are appropriate because of your position with the county.
I apologize for being on my phone, I'm just trying to read the same thing.
It's pretty well said.
And he did commit, and I know he'll have other important things that, he's moved the case is closer to the front of the line and set a March 1, 2023 hard deadline to make a determination to continue with the case or close.
So are the material deficiencies in the audits the same material deficiencies every year, or are they different material deficiencies every year?
I haven't cataloged. There are different types of deficiencies, but either significant or not, and then the aggregate total of the various deficiencies then causes the auditor to put the material weakness moniker involved.
Well, sure, we had our auditor point out something with the schools a few years ago, and we asked them to square it up, and they've done it ever since.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, you know, when you get an audit with a black mark on it,
Yeah.
you have to take that to heart and improve it the next year and clear up whatever it is. And it's a big difference to me if there's things that come out in one year, then it should be recognized and corrected, so it's not on the audit again.
Right.
And so if it's the same ones over and over again, to me, that's a real problem.
There are several, the audits are all attached to board docs in the library and the fire levy board for the last several years. Many of the companies do have minor deficiencies noted with a caveat stating that they understand it's a small organization, it's hard to have separation of duties. And it's just a note that it's something we need to look at, and be mindful of, that it's hard to have that sort of thing. And it's noted as a deficiency, it's not significant, and it's not, doesn't come rise to the level.
Go ahead. Parallel to my question regarding their audited financial statements, I'm just curious if any of my colleagues who served on the fire levy board have an impression from that role regarding company four's compliance with the supporting documentation, receipts, et cetera, for claiming operating expense reimbursement. And has that been a relatively neat and tight process for company four, like in the last year or so, a year or two? I don't know if anyone could comment.
Thank you, Mr. Whitson. So it has been rocky. And Mr. Gunn is sitting here, and he's on the fire levy board with me as well. And I think that it has been hard to line some things up. But I just want to be clear about what I think of as this audit. To move forward, it only benefits to find out what's been going on. And it's not about pointing fingers. It's about regaining trust to move forward. And in the fire levy meetings, people are human beings. People make mistakes. This should not be punitive. This should be restorative. And that's at least the way that I am. So whether it's to the fire levy board and saying, well, hey, what are these? Where are these receipts, and how come this isn't lining up, or what is this exactly for? It's more about we recognize that hasn't been working. And in order to get it to a place where it does work, we've got to start on firm ground. And we have the state police saying you really should do an audit. To me, that's just very clear. It's just, we got to do it.
Madam Chairperson, I know it's not out of order. Can I correct the record?
Correct the record.
Yes. Page 1, Fire Levy Board, Jackson District. And I went and reviewed their last submittal. They were a clean audit. They switched to a new accountant. They are much better than they were. So my question is, what is the time frame of what the state police investigator is talking about? If it is a year or two ago, that's one thing, all right? If it's something that has happened just recently, that's something else. But the Fire Levy Board hasn't seen anything significantly bad since Debbie and Dave Jarrell went through it. They've cleaned it up, and since then, they've hired another accountant, and this latest accountant has done a very good job. There was not a single removed item from their budget.
So, I'm assuming that the audit's about the material deficiencies?
Yes.
So not about, I'm sorry if I misspoke and meant it was about a fire levy thing. This is not about that. I was only talking about material deficiencies in the 4 years of, was it 4 years?
But even that is dated.
Yeah. No, that's true, but it doesn't hurt. And it's,
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
and so, I did not mean to imply that this last fire levy meeting where we approved your receipts was the issue. I'm only referring to what's in front of us.
We should have had you on the board when we had the credit card payments. We still never did an audit of those purchases where it went.
So,
I just want to say that, Mr. Goff just handed me something and it basically said that these are public funds that we're talking about. The Virginia State Police is asking for a forensic audit. There was gross negligence, gross underlines, not to proceed with the audit as requested by Virginia State Police. I agree that this will help clean the slate, and really allow, I keep saying the Phoenix moment for Company 4 to occur, but you really need to have the clean slate.
Do you need it in the form of a motion?
I would make that more of a motion.
I mean, if that's what you want, I can do it.
I'm fine, I believe you do need, the board should request.
Well, if that's your motion, I'll second it.
What is the
Forensic audit, as recommended by the state police.
Have y'all ever known a forensic auditor? Yeah, I mean, I did. I had one that, in the congregation that I administered in. I just want to say, people need to understand that forensic auditors look for different things than what you would think people look for. And the forensic auditor that I knew, and I'm not debating about whether this is a good thing to do, I just want to frame the audit that we're undertaking. If you're really a criminal mastermind trying to do something nefarious, the biggest tip to the person auditing you is that everything will always line up. If everything lines up perfectly all the time, then it's somebody's doing a very elaborate scheme to cover their tracks. If there are human beings running an organization, and there are, as said in the Virginia State Police report, sometimes we're human, we don't always do everything exactly right. Does that mean that there's criminal intent and that something was really done wrong? No, it means something wasn't done exactly right, and it should be improved and done better going forward, and we need to learn. But I just wanted to say, I think it's important to frame this discussion in terms of recognizing that things were in the past, that if we are doing this, it is to put some things to bed and set Company 4 up to succeed going forward.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I need to understand.
Oh, wait,
how you
yeah,
pay for it.
I don't know specifically what the action we're taking is. Are we are we moving to go hire outside auditors on a specific time schedule? I mean, I think we need to come in with some specificity here, get the show on the road.
I guess it could be to, request that the county office, hire a forensic auditor within the, you said there.
Tomorrow at lunch.
Well, I'm not saying Robinson Farmer Cox is the only, they're not the only company that can do it. They are familiar with the books, the companies, because they do the annual regular. The individual I spoke with this morning is out of the Richmond office, and Bruce audits are done in Charlottesville audit. Our regular auditor out of Charlottesville audit, he's out of the Richmond office. He's not available till the end of February. I also need to understand how the board intends to pay for the audit, and if there are dollar limits on that. So what might be possible is for staff to take the direction of bringing to you a clear proposal from one or more auditors for a decision to be made at your next meeting. And we can also figure out the financial side of from which buckets of money are available to you to do that. And if a supplemental appropriation is needed based on our review, we can bring that to you as well. So you could consider that from fund balance or whatever.
Is that something that could be, do we have a mid-month meeting this month?
You have whenever one's called.
Yeah, I think the sooner the better. I mean,
Special meeting.
I guess if you find any information and can set up something, then we could have a special meeting.
Okay.
I see we need to revise.
I think that would be good. We have a motion on the table right now, so you have to do something with it.
All right, so it's my motion, I'm going to withdraw that motion and, ask, or make the motion that the county, office researches, potential auditors for a forensic audit and reports back to the supervisors with the, I guess,
Scope and see proposal.
yep. At our next meeting, which could be a special meeting.
I'll second that, I guess my first second is we, if the first person was
Thank you.
withdrawn.
Very good. We have a motion, a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we need to, public safety committee. Those are the recommendations. The only other part is the funding. I do believe, in conversations that I've had with you and others, the building, cut off 100% funding is probably not necessarily a wise move.
I did express that during the Public Safety Committee. While I did vote for the motion, I did so expressing my concern that cutting off money has some significant consequences that need to be really considered. And the goal is to have a company there that is functioning, and cutting off money to heat and buildings and things like that, I don't think is productive.
Well, listen, we could have a year, or we could have a day coming that we don't know about. It's a shame that EMS isn't running, but let's face it, there was one spring where we had brush fires where people were being called out by saying, send whatever you've got. If anybody's got anything, please send it. Because everybody was out in the field that day. And it may not seem like to some people that fire only in Flint Hill is a lot, but if you have a day like that, it's gonna mean a lot to you to see that tanker.
So, as a public safety committee member, I have no heartburn with the board not acting on that particular part of the recommendation today.
I do believe we've got more information coming. At the February meeting, we'll, be able to take up a little bit more knowledge. And so there's not really a rush, as far as I'm concerned, to take steps to cut the funding. Any other discussion?
I do think I would echo the sentiment of folks in the audience that we need to do something, we need to set this company up to succeed, get fully restored to EMS. I don't know what that will look like. We have to work together. There will need to be leadership from everybody. Everybody needs to come to the table. And if we're able to do that, then everybody succeeds. I think everyone knows maybe not everyone knows, but one of the first things I went to in this county was the parade in Flint, and that used to be the big event every summer. Was the big parade and the carnival in Flint, and a strong Company 4 benefits everyone in Rappahannock County. So you all met with us on an ongoing basis in 2020 when you were on dual dispatch to get put back in good standing with all members of the Public Safety Committee, and you all came to the table on that every month like we asked you to. So I know that you can do it if we can set up a plan, and I appreciate that you all are here tonight.
And the one thing I think the citizens should probably hear, especially in the Wakefield district, with regards to the fire, I did have a conversation with dispatch, and it's not like if you have a certain particular, like a house fire, that they're only going to dispatch one company. That just doesn't happen. So there's not that panic that if Company 4 didn't have somebody to bring out a piece of equipment, the other companies that were dispatched will still be dispatched. So I don't want there to be a panic that nobody's going to come. It's just may take a few more minutes. So that's the way it is right now. But the goal is we are having a very serious conversation, as you can see, and the idea is to move forward in the best way for all the citizens, including the volunteers. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Move into the building committee update.
I think we have a 2-minute recess.
2